right, well, welcome. Again, thank you for being here on Sunday morning. So this is BenQ there, done that from pilot program to district-wide success. So just a little bit of background before I talk about me. I work with Forest Hills Public Schools in Michigan, and we're kind of like 3 districts in one. So we have 3 high schools, 3 middle schools, and 9 elementary schools. So we kind of have, everybody feels like they're their own little silo, but we're really one Forest Hills is what we call it. So we're gonna see if this is gonna work. Maybe not. Come over here. This is me, that's my family. I have a daughter who is a senior in high school, so all the feels this year for me, but that's okay. I am the Instructional Technology Coordinator, Forest Hills Public Schools, 25 years in education. I taught for 20 plus years in elementary mostly, and then into some technology teaching, and now as our Instructional Technology Coordinator. Michigan, we also have our version, I guess, of the Florida technology is McCall, and so I'm also a board member for them. All right, so let's talk about our time here. Our process was very long and very slow, and we're still kind of in it. So I'm going to start with how we started with our need for change, then how we moved into some cohorts and building adoption. Like everything, we have some bumps in the road, so we'll talk about our bumps in the road, and then partners for success with BenQ, training and support, and then kind of how we're moving forward. So let's start with our beginning. So the summer of 2023, our technology office and our instruction office started some conversation. We were noticing we just have projectors in all of our classrooms. Projectors were dying, bulbs are expensive, looking at how could we move forward. Technology is changing, classroom is changing, how can we move forward and do the best for our teachers and our students? So they began investigating, this was pre-me, I guess started a little bit after this. They began investigating tons of IFPs. They brought in lots of different boards, looked at what they had, and looked at what was gonna meet our needs as a district. And we looked at a lot of safety, security, functionality, and as well as we're a Google school, so we looked at that integration with Google. We visited other schools, we looked at all kinds of boards. So then in March of 2024, we decided cohort 1 was going to begin, and each building was getting 2 boards. And we decided BenQ was the one that was far above everyone else. They had the security we were looking at, they had the functionality we were looking at, they had all those pieces. Being able to just take my NFC card, tap it, and all my Google's there. I can do that on any board in my district. That was huge, especially for our administrators who do presentations or go talk in other buildings. Being a huge district, being able to do that. I can go in right now, do trainings. I don't need my computer. I just tap in, and anything I need is right there because most of what I create is either in Canva or Google Drive. So it's super simple, super easy to get to. So we decided we're going to try out the BenQ board, see how it works in our classrooms. So we did a cohort 1, so that was 2 boards per building, multiple surveys throughout. How's it going? What do you need? How can we help you? How can we support you? We did a lot of training. We partnered with BenQ. We also partnered with a company that supplies our boards called Data Image, and we did trainings. Gosh, I can't even think of how many we did. A lot. And then BenQ is amazing. They will come in and do trainings. They'll be back to do one-on-ones. I can't tell you how many times Nick has been in my district talking with teachers, being available, ready to go. It's great. And then March of 2025, we decided, all right, this is going really well. Teachers are liking this. Everyone is enjoying these. It's helping teaching and learning. I'll show you some feedback in a little bit on that too. So we decided, all right, cohort 2 is going to begin. So we decided to do 2 to 4 more boards. Some of our high schools got more. And just to back up a little bit, cohort 1, in our district, we have 1 teacher designated at each building as like we call them ITRTs, so they're instructional technology support for their staff. So they had a board, and then we had the principals pick 1 other person. Kind of a more techie teacher in that first cohort. Cohort 2 was applications. So all the teachers who wanted a board filled out an application, and then we picked, myself and the principal, we sat down and decided, and we said we want teachers from all ends of the spectrum. We want someone who's maybe not the most techie to a little bit more techie. We want to really see how this does for all of our teachers. So cohort 2 started, and so we also added a board to all of our media centers, and then in each of our buildings, the office has a conference room, so we added it there too, so that administrators started using it a little bit more. IEPs were happening on the boards and different things like that. We really wanted to get a wide range of people involved in using the boards. So that started in March of 2025. And then in the spring, last spring, our elementary principals were like, this is going really, really well. We're ready. We want to jump in all of our classrooms. So in the spring of 2025, all of the elementary principals met. We talked through some issues, and then we brought it together to our school board to get approval. And then in the summer, all of our elementary buildings got their boards. And then because, of course, district PD is planned out, the timing of their training was 2 days before school started. So you can imagine that was a little stressful. And some of the teachers will tell me that still to this day, that was really hard, and I don't get to pick that for you. The district decides on that. But as I walked through buildings those first couple of weeks, they were jumping in. They were trying, they were doing things. We did not take, I should back up. We did not take their projectors. So they still have projectors in their rooms, but we told them, you have a year to figure out the board and your projector, so it's still there's your safety net. But we are not fixing it. So if something goes wrong, we're not fixing your projector. We'll replace bulbs if we have them, but we're not fixing your projector right now. And I can tell you probably within a month, there was one building, a whole hallway, lost their projectors. But they've been great on their boards. Any questions so far on that process? Perfect. All right. I don't know why it's not advancing. What's that? I don't like the red dot.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
For the school board and approving of purchases, that they also approve like the support and training that comes with purchasing, so the all-in-one package.
Yep.
That was, Angie, that was written into the contract with us.
Yep.
That training and support was included. There was no additional cost for that. So the school board, like when they approved the project.
Yeah, it wasn't just the tool, it was everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and then last spring I didn't add that in there. I went through their training process. So I am a certified trainer as well. So I can provide training when they're not available to get over to us, which is rarely, but I can do it as well. So then this fall, we met with our secondary principals, and we met individually with each of them because they're all kind of in unique situations. Our district is under construction in a lot of different areas, and it's some buildings in different phases. So the high schools were a little bit different. So we met with each of those principals, and 2 of the 3 decided they were ready to go. They wanted them over this past holiday break. The other one is like, we're just moving into construction. Let's hold off until the summer, which is totally fine. And then our middle schools decided we're going to wait until spring break to get our boards in and do some training then. They wanted a little bit more time. And so we were like, okay. So again, school board. And now over the holiday break, all of my high schools, well, 2 of my high schools just got their boards. And we're getting ready to do a full training with them on Monday, or a week from Monday, on Martin Luther King Day. So we are partnering again with BenQ, Data Image, myself, and providing training for those teachers. And with our high schools, we're doing a little bit more content specific for them and showing them how they can use it in their content classes. I don't know why I'm carrying this. I don't need it. All right. So that's kind of our timeline and our process. And I'll show you how I manage our boards. So with BenQ, you have this device management system, and we name our boards with the 2 letters of their building and a number. So we named our boards that way, but you can do it any way you want. You could do it by classroom number. You can do different things like that. And so then I went in and I organized them by each of our buildings. So instead of just having this huge, big, long list, and I'll show you the actual DMS in a minute. These are just photos. Instead of having this huge list of pages of boards, I organized them into elementary and secondary, and then I sub-organized them by each of our buildings. So then I can see if I need to push out something to this building or push to this building, I can do that right through the DMS. So if there's a firmware update, update on an application, I can push it out from my office for them, which is really nice. And I usually just send an email saying, hey, I'm going to push out this update at this time, know that it's coming, so my teachers are prepared. Because we learned our lesson on that, and I'll tell you that when we get to bump into the road. Any questions on this? And I'll show you what the actual DMS looks like. Oh, it went into that mode again. It went back to the app. Come on. There we go. Here we go. So here's what the DMS looks like when I log in. I can see how many devices we have, how many are online right now. Oops, not there. Here. Cute. Slowly, slowly. We also have two different versions of the boards. We initially started out with the RMs, and then we moved to the RPs. There we go. So you can see our administration building also has them all. So I also have that tab. Elementary buildings, secondary buildings. Huh? That's okay. It's okay. So again, then I can go in and name. I can see what firmware version they're on, any updates they need. These two are on the RMs, and those are on RPs. I can go into one. Come on. Maybe I can go into one. Questions on the DMS while we're waiting for it to load at all?
The challenges of internet when you're.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, so was this kind of work, I'm assuming since you manage the DMS, this is now a new work stream for you. Was this created once the boards were purchased? Do you have a new role? Like what's the human capacity to run something like this?
Sure.
How did that transition?
Sure. So yes, I run it all. Pretty much is it. It's really pretty easy to do. Like I usually check the DMS in the morning. Sometimes they let me know when there's a firmware update. I get an email, and then I can kind of talk through when we want to do that. You can schedule those too. The way our network is, it wasn't allowing us to, because they weren't turning on. The boards were still working through some of that. But you can schedule those updates too. So it could be turning the boards on Saturday at 7 at night and start the update. You can do those things. So it's very easy to do because I just can do it from my office and not have to be out in one of my 15 buildings to do it. But I can get out to the building or see, oh, that board's not online. I can figure out what's going on through there.
So it didn't take up like too much of a percentage of the time for your
For me?
For your role.
Mm,
Yeah, like
not really, because I still can get out and do other things. Like Google, I do Google stuff with staff as well. So it doesn't take up the majority of my time. It takes up a good chunk of my time, but that's part of my role as the Instructional Technology Coordinator.
Limited capacity across different districts and just at the state level.
Okay.
Coordinating technology.
Yeah.
How much of your time?
Yeah. It doesn't, I mean,
You need to adjust contracts, you know?
yeah. Okay. I'm not going to be able to get into that one. But then I also, it's back here. Come on. Let's go back here. You can see back on that dashboard, it was telling me, sorry, I should go back to the dashboard. Maybe not. Go back to the dashboard. Here we go. So I can see like what's new. Oh my gosh, it doesn't want to stay on the dashboard. It's listing all the things that are new or that might have an update coming, and if those are things that we're using, because there's some specific applications to BenQ that are on there as well. I can see if those are needed, and then if it will let me scroll. Oh, because I keep hitting devices. That's what's happening. I realize that now. We have learned too that the boards are super duper sensitive. We have had bugs in a couple of our rooms, like a fly, that will get on there and it will actually like open applications or start drying. So they're super sensitive to touch, which is great. There we go. It went right down to a report here. So I can see what it is loading, where it's failed. I can see the devices, the Wi-Fi traffic. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in here. What apps are being used throughout the district.
And in terms of being remote support, we also work with, like, we have field application engineers like Sheldon here, who actually has external access to, so if there are projects, major projects, we support our larger districts like Forest Hills, so that Sheldon can actually get into the device management system to actually help with scheduling those updates or pushing out some
Absolutely.
some critical needs for things. So there's a lot of support as well.
Yeah, and they're awesome. I'll talk about that in a minute here. All right, so let's move on to bumps in the road, because with all things, we're going to have those bumps in the road. Everything's not going to go smoothly like we would love, but there's bumps in the road. Number one is teacher resistance to change, right? You're taking my projector away, probably just like some of our older teachers when we took their overhead projector and then they had to go to this projector, right? Or, you know. So we definitely have that, and we still have that, but we're working through that and showing them just simple things you can do. Like I had one teacher tell me it's faster for her to write on her physical whiteboard than it is to write on here. And I was like, well, let me show you a little bit more how you can save this, how you can use this again. Whereas your whiteboard is, you erase it, it's done. You can't do that. So just little things, showing them little things kind of has brought some along. Another big one for us is finding time for training. Our district plans out training in August for the whole year. And sometimes that can be really difficult and not have that time, but we're finding time to just offer one-on-one training. I go into my buildings, I give a schedule for the month. Like right now, it's between my two high schools and my middle school that just got new boards. And I send out a sign-up genius and say, I'm gonna be in your building from this time to this time. Sign up for me to come by and do support for you, or come see me here. So I do that. I did that in the fall for all of my elementary buildings, and now I'm doing it for my high school buildings. We had a firmware update issue at one of our buildings where we had sent out the firmware and I didn't send the email beforehand, and a bunch of the teachers tried to stop it and it didn't go real well. And the next day I was on the phone as soon as I got in at 8 a.m. with BenQ and with Data Image, and Data Image is local in Michigan, so within 2 hours, because he's on the other side of the state, Data Image was right there with me. BenQ was sending people in the next day to be there right with me, or they were trying to talk through it with me on the phone, and we got it all solved. So their customer support, 100% better than anything else I've ever experienced. InstaShare 2 is something our teachers are super reliant on. It's a way to share your screen to the board, so to use it as a projector. That's kind of their crutch right now. And for a while we were having some issues with it dropping because the access points in our building, the boards were jumping, and so when it would jump, we would lose connection. But again, I talked with Sheldon, and they were on it all the time, working on it, trying to find ways to make it better for us. And thankfully, knock on wood, I have not heard anything in a long time on InstaShare. And then the next one for us is classroom size and space. All of our buildings are a little bit different. Some of our buildings have smaller classrooms, and so all of ours are on these carts. And so we have some buildings that teachers are like, oh, I want it mounted, or I don't want it mounted. So we've had that discussion too. We tried to decide if we wanted it to be a whole building decision, whether it's on a cart or mounted, or looking at individual spaces too. And that's the same thing here, stands versus mounting. Some teachers want it mounted. A lot of my high school teachers want it mounted. Their buildings are smaller, their kids are taller. We did have a different cart to begin with, and we found with our high schools that it wasn't going as high as we wanted. So I worked with Nick, and he found me a taller, which is that one over there, right? That stand goes up to 7 feet. So that works really well for my high schools, and it also works really well for my elementaries because it can come all the way down to the floor. So I have some teachers who have it all the way down on the floor for their kindergarten and first grade teachers to make it, or students to make it more interactive for them.
Angie, you said something to me when it comes to stands versus mounting that for district leaders here, I think it's really important. Because I get the question asked all the time when I talk to districts, should it be mounted or should it be on a stand? And I remember you said you like the being on the stand because it provides teachers that ability to feel like they have some ownership of where they put the panel or where they move the panel, so they don't feel like this technology is being foisted on them, that it's being something they're being forced to use.
Right.
They can move it around the room, and it helped with your adoption rate.
Yep.
whatever you said.
Yeah. So in that very initial stage before I started, they talked a lot about we don't want to dictate the front of a classroom. And so when we put them on the cart, that makes it a little bit more mobile, obviously, and then collaborative. We want to make sure that our kids can be collaborative. We can pull these out in the hallway. We can have big groups out there. And I do have some of my elementaries that do that in their pods. They'll pull the boards out and do something together. As you can tell right now, we're mirroring them, and that can happen. I do that sometimes in bigger trainings where we have 5 or 6 boards and we're mirroring them so everybody can see. All right. So those were kind of some of our bigger bumps in the road. But again, we've worked through those processes. BenQ is right there holding our hand through it. Data image as well for us. And it's been pretty smooth. I can't say enough about BenQ's customer support. I'm telling you, they are the best around. You call them, they're there ready to go. They've got someone, if they don't know, they'll tell you. Like if I ask Nick, he's like, oh, maybe you better ask Chuck or ask Sheldon. Like I feel like they're all my best friends. I know them all by the first name, right? And they're ready to help. Lauren will jump on a call with me as we're getting ready to do a training, and she's helping me talk through some different things that I can do for that training. They're just always right there, ready to go. And of course, with the training, they're, again, around our schedule. I know like Monday is technically a day off for them, but Nick is willing to come in and help me train my staff. Any questions about any of that? Okay. So here's just some of the feedback. Like I said, we did a lot in our district of surveying our teachers, asking them how it's going, what can we do, how can we help you, how can we support you. I think every month I sent them the same thing. What's going well? How's it affecting teaching and learning? What can I do to help you? And this is some of that feedback that we're getting. The kids are loving the clarity of it. A projector is nice, but you get glares or different times in the day. You can't see it. You can see this board in any room. And we have some buildings that are full wall of windows, and you can see the board. Super simple and easy. Like I said, kids like to see it in the back of the room. Now that we solved that issue and have the taller stands, you can see it in the back of the room. EasyWrite is the whiteboarding software that we'll be talking about probably throughout the next couple of days. The kids love to be able to use. They like to be able to write on their slides. A lot of teachers work with slides. You can write right on top of your slides. And some other feedback. This was my favorite one. Far superior to the projector. But then this one likes to use it like a projector, but as touchscreen. And then, of course, I like to ask how it's improving their teaching and learning. And I love how it's forcing teachers to rethink, that they can be more flexible, and that they feel like they're more efficient as well, which is all really great things that we can do and provide for our teachers. So moving forward, like I said, we have our last 2 middle schools that are getting their boards over spring break, and then they'll get their training soon after that. The final high school will get theirs over the summer, and then we're just kind of working on those different levels of training for our teachers as well. So we kind of do this basic training, get them started, and then we want to kind of start to provide some higher level training for those that maybe were in our initial cohort, so they can get to learn a little bit more and new things, because there's always new fun things happening. Like I just learned about this board, which is a new version, and it has a lot of great AI capabilities, and I'm sure you're gonna learn about throughout the week here. So just always providing that extra training for them to learn the new things. A couple of other things. So we started, because our district is huge and our community is highly involved, we decided we would make a website to keep the community involved in the whole process. So that's called IFB Central, and I'll show it to you in a minute. And then myself and those ITRT teachers, we have been making short little videos for our teachers on certain things. So we have a huge video resource library for them. So if they forget how to Insta-share, they can go there and look, or they want to learn how to do the dual pen mode and EasyWrite, we can show them that as well. And of course, BenQ Academy has great offerings as well for teachers. But I'll show you our website. So in here we have our feedback. Again, another link to more BenQ resources. This was our initial review of all the boards that we had. More feedback. Here's the timeline. This is just a copy of the survey we did, and then some research on why we went with IFPs versus projectors. So you can see this timeline is, come on. Let's see. Oh, it's staying really small. You can see. This has been a very long process for us, but it's been good. I think it's been good that we went slow so that teachers didn't feel like, oh my gosh, it's just all of a sudden you just threw this at me. And we've given them a lot of time to have voice and share those opinions with us. We are a very large district. We have close to 10,000 students, so we want to give voice to those teachers. So there's a lot of teachers, a lot of different opinions. So you can see. Ooh, it didn't add in my updated ones. It's okay. Any questions?
Is there anything you would have done differently if you were starting this from scratch now that you know the boards?
Sure. Honestly, I don't think so. I think like the slow rollout for us was really good in getting those more techie teachers at it first, and also getting some of those less techie teachers at it was really helpful too, so they could say, hey, I can do this, you can do it. I would like to have seen my ITRTs do a little bit more of getting teachers in to look. Like our friends at West Ottawa, they did some really great stuff that I wish my teachers would have done. They had like their BenQ petting zoo where they had it open and they had teachers come in and touch and play. I think that would have been nice if we would have done a little bit more of that. But honestly, I think our slow process was really good. Yes, Nick?
So I heard some questions about like kind of the logistics of the process. It's something that I think just from knowing, being part of it, you worked with a consulting group and you did a really great job with that consulting group where there was a regular cadence of meetings and you were providing information and feedback. Can you speak to a little bit about your experience in working with that?
Sure. So yes, we do work with another group who kind of manages all of our purchases. And so we would meet monthly, I think, with them. And so I got pulled in because they were meeting about other construction projects, but then I got pulled in for these. And we would talk about what's going on. We have agendas, questions, feedback, and I would reach back out to teachers or staff and then come back to them. And so we kept that agenda going. So that was with my director and then also with our business office. So all of that information was shared in our district so that everybody knew what was going on, everyone was on the same page, and they helped with all of our purchasing, and they did some of the back-end work, working with BenQ and purchasing and working with data image and scheduling drop-offs and buildings and things like that, which was really, really nice. I didn't have a part in setting that up, but the district, that's just who we worked with our bond money. I'm sure we all have those people that we work with. Any other questions about our process?
Would you say that the implementation of the tool itself was, or I should ask a different question, just what were some of the differences between this is the board now in your classroom versus this is now a systems shift across the district?
Sure. I feel like we're kind of still in it to make that shift, but I can say one of my buildings, when they went under construction, we did not wire for projectors in their ceiling, so they, like cold turkey, they went right to the boards, and they will tell you they wouldn't do it any other way. Like that was perfect for them. And I think some of my other buildings are still using it as a crutch, but I think that once it comes out, they'll realize a little bit more. But yeah, I think that there's slow steps moving towards it, and everyone works at their different pace, but I do have some that are like super at it, like they could train me on some different things that they're doing, which is awesome, and then others that are just taking that baby step, like still kind of using it as a projector or using it as another monitor. But that's what's great about it, is you don't all have to be like, oh my gosh, I have to do everything on this board right now. I can take those slow steps. I can still use it as my projector and test out the waters a little bit. Any other questions? Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
Early on, you talked about surveys and surveying
Mhm.
teachers. What was kind of the cadence of that? Was that your metric of whether or not to move forward
Mhm.
with the tool?
Yep.
Just how were those surveys constructed? Was it the district itself? Was it through the district and BenQ or your consulting?
Nope, it was all through me. So it was all through the district. So we did them in just Google Forms. So I would send that out, and then we'd gather all that information, and I would take that to either my director, or we have monthly meetings between our technology department and our instruction department. So I would take that to them because they ultimately would make some of those decisions as to how far we're moving forward. And then we'd also share that with our principals and talk about this is what we're feeling, or this is what we're getting from staff. And that's kind of what prompted those conversations with the elementary principals. They meet once a month, so we would bop into those meetings. And that's when they would talk about, okay, we're ready, we're seeing the feedback, we're hearing the feedback, we're ready. Where secondary was like, hold on, we're not there yet. So we kind of use that feedback. Mm-hmm. We did the best we could to engage all the stakeholders. Yep, for sure. That's super important. Initially, we did have some questions from some parents about the boards being on and eyes and things like that. And there's the iSafe certification that the boards have. So we definitely shared that out with parents to help them feel a little bit better about that as well. Any other questions?
Webcam thingy built in or add-on?
That's an add-on. And we do have those purchased in our conference rooms for IEPs that might be virtual or things like that. There are a few other accessories, like there's an InstaShare button that can be used that we like to use in meetings as well, that they can bop from device to device. So if it's an IEP and you have to share your screen and you have to share your screen, we can do those too.
You mentioned somewhere in there that your teachers don't use their doc cams as much, or they don't need to, but doc cams still work? Because we use our doc cams as webcams.
Yes,
So,
yep.
okay.
You can use your dot cam right in Easy Right or native right on it too.
Are all your boards the same size?
No. In our classrooms, yes, but in other spaces, no. So like in our administration building, we have some that are this size, the 75, and then in all of our classrooms, we actually have the 86s, which are 10 inches bigger. 80. Those are all in our classrooms. And then in offices, I think there's 75s are in the offices. And I think that's just a size or a space constraint for where we need them. But all of the classrooms have 86s. And we have them in our gyms for the gym teachers too. I have a PE teacher who uses hers all the time. It's great. They're very durable. I had a teacher asked the other day, she's like, I used to play this fly swatter game. Is that okay to do? I was like, yeah, just not like super aggressive.